Hello, I'm Donna Marshall.
Hi, I'm the coordinator for Logan City Council's Aquatic Centres, and I've been fortunate enough to be asked about the impacts of COVID on the aquatic centre business.
So we'll get straight into the questions. So what was your experience before when the whole COVID thing started?
Okay, so with COVID, it was really interesting because our swim school was travelling along really well. We had 2,000 clients a week coming, and we built up that number, and we were really excited because we hit 2,000 a week. Then COVID happened, and it didn't really affect us straight away until the lockdown, where we had to cancel all of our classes, obviously, and shut the doors. So it affected our team because it's a casual team, so they didn't get any pay, which is quite unfortunate. But the council was really good in that regard and offered them different areas of work if they chose to work. So that was a positive for the team. For the clients, it was really sad because lessons just stopped. Lessons just stopped. You know, we were going into winter, so our term 2 and term 3. So usually numbers drop off a little bit anyway during that period, but we dropped to nothing. So that was terrible. So what do? We had to manage how to work from home because we couldn't come to the venue. So we had to organise some IT equipment from the council that lent our equipment to the people who were working from home, and it was only our key staff. So we have 4 permanent employees, so they were the only people that were working from home during that time. And that had some challenges because not everyone's internet service providers are the same, so some people it was really slow to get emails to and responses from, but we managed. And then we thought about what do we need to do moving out of this period. So the first thing is to develop a plan to keep our clients and our team safe. So we worked on a COVID plan for reactivating our venue. So we had to think about cleaning between lessons. Every time someone went to the toilet, we had to clean it. In the beginning, we were only allowed 10 people in the venue at once. So once lockdown finished and they were the restrictions that were put on us from the state government, we had to think, okay, do we open, whereas we can only allow 10 people at a time in, or do we wait a bit longer until we can deliver our lessons? So it was a collaborative process that we discussed our concerns with our management, and it was decided that we'd stay closed until we could deliver our swimming lessons. And then you've got to get the confidence of the public again to make sure that they know that they're safe when they do come to swimming. So yeah, it was quite a challenging time. So that was challenging because you just get everyone's confidence back, and I must say our numbers were affected greatly. So when we reopened, when we were allowed to deliver our swimming lessons again and have lap swimmers in the pool, more than one person per lane, it was a challenge because we had to provide confidence for our clients that they were safe when they came to our environment. A lot of people were quite hesitant to come back into public lessons, but we gave great communication. We provided them with our plan so they knew that the venue would be clean. They knew our teachers had full face shields, so we protected our teachers as well as our patrons. We were fortunate enough not to have any COVID infections at our venue, so that was really, really fortunate. And we just started to get back on our feet again, and then we were locked down again.
Yeah.
So then it wasn't as bad because we'd experienced it prior. So we just, the same thing, we worked from home, we communicated with our clients, and then, you know, it was 2 weeks, a month, whatever. And then we had it all in place, and then we reactivated again. So it was just a process of going through what we had planned in the initial stage to reactivate the venue, and then just repeating that process each time there was a lockdown and a reopening. And
did you have any major plans or anything ruined by it?
well, we had like lots of carnivals, like swimming carnivals that had to be cancelled because we were locked down in February. So it really impacted our budget tremendously because we were getting no revenue, obviously, and we still had to pay a few people who were working from home and obviously the utilities bill. But we coped, and we've come out the other end, and we're back over 2,000 swimmers a week. So we're
Awesome.
quite happy that we've done it. But we've also, you know, we had to implement the QR codes. We had to get people, before the QR codes were in, we had to get them to manually sign in. We had to make sure that everyone sanitised their hands. They could only walk one way in and one way out. And yeah, so there was lots and lots of little plans that we had to do. But the QR code, now that we've had that for quite a while, made people's entry a lot more smoother. There was a big delay to enter a venue when you had to sign in, you know.
Yeah.
It was, and like you have people lining up, and yeah, so there was a few little hot-tempered people who, why do I have to do this? Because it's mandatory, unfortunately. It's not our rules, it's the state government rules. This is what we have to do so we can stay open. Yeah.
And with that time when we were in the lockdown, did someone have to come in and just like keep check on the pool and do the testing and things, or everyone stayed away that whole time?
No, one person stayed. We would take turns out of 2 people, myself and the supervisor, Cade. We would take turns on what day we would come in, make sure we vacuum if we needed to vacuum, ensure everything was working, all the plants. So we'd take turns. So no 2 people were in the same place. Yeah, whilst lockdown was on.
What about your personal experience with it?
Mine? Oh, it's terrible because my son and my grandson, who was born Christmas 2 years ago, live in New South Wales.
Oh.
So I've only seen my grandson Archie. He turns 2 on the 24th of December this year, and I've only physically seen him in the flesh 2 times. So
you should be able to see him this coming birthday, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, with the borders open.
Yeah, but what you had to think about was, yes, I could go down there, but it was a hot spot, and then I'd have to do 14 days quarantine in a hotel and pay the amount of money that it is, take holidays. So if you wanted to go down for a weekend, you know, you'd have to take off 2.5 weeks and pay $5,000 for the hotel quarantine. So for me it was pretty tough personally, but thank goodness for FaceTime. Like, wow, he thinks his nana's like just ahead, I'm sure. But yeah, so other than that, that was quite a disappointment because I've missed a lot of him growing up, and I know he's only 2, so as soon as everything's back to some sort of normal, yeah, I'll be down there in a flash.
And do you have any interesting stories you've heard from other people? Any life-changing or anything?
Like from your staff or things?
Well, some of our staff got jobs in other areas of council, so that was really good. So they've had experience in other areas, like at the recycling market or at the waste depots or at the libraries. Like I had a couple of my Learn to Swim teachers that would stand out in front of the libraries and click how many people were in and how many people were out, because there was a capacity that they had to meet and they couldn't go over it. So that was a bit different to teaching swimming. My daughter and her family were involved. The kids went to school at Windermere State School, so they were locked down, home quarantine a few months ago. It was supposed to be 2 weeks, but it turned out to be about 5 days. So that was interesting for them. And my son, he's a plumber, and he was working on a building site in Coffs Harbour, and a person from Sydney come up and had COVID, so they were mandatory quarantine for 14 days at home. And they live on a property, so click and collect, or he can't do that because he's not allowed to leave the property, and deliveries didn't come out, so getting their food supplies was left to neighbours. So luckily there was neighbours that would pick their groceries up for them and bring them, drop them at the gate, and otherwise I don't know what they'd do, they would have starved. But anyway, that's about it. Yeah.
And so now that hopefully we're all out of the COVID, is there any permanent changes to the way you guys are gonna do things? Is it now you're just gonna go back to how it was before, or there's permanent processes now you think you're gonna have to keep in place?
Well, because it's still COVID's still active around Australia, I am keeping our COVID practices in place. We're lucky to be able to have full capacity at all of our venues now, so that's okay. But all of our cleaning processes are staying the same because, wiping down door handles and wiping benches after people and making sure that the toilets are looked after more than 3 times a day, like after every half an hour. That's what we're keeping in practice, and obviously the QR codes. Yeah.